Barnett. I'm the Township Supervisor. We are excited that you are here. Raise your hand if you've been to one of these forums before. That's good, about half of you as well. This is our first Homeowners Association Forum post-COVID, and in the past when we had these, we got a lot of great feedback. The purpose of tonight is to have the opportunity to hear from a lot of our directors, our department heads, to ask questions. But hopefully one of the things you'll take from this is meeting someone that might be in a neighborhood adjacent to you. We've heard from this group getting together, people have shared contracts with snow plowing services, learned about different ways they can combat different things happening in their neighborhoods. So we've got an action-packed agenda, and I won't dilly-dally too much, but I'd like to, if we could do this expeditiously, if everyone could just briefly and quickly, and this will just say from your spot. We might edit this out, but I know some of you like to know where you're from. And we created a map as well. I'm going to put this in the back. When you leave, I want you to look at it. We're hopeful that we've identified stakeholders in all of our neighborhoods, but we know we're missing some. So we're trying to fill in the map. So we're in the process of trying to make sure that we know where everybody's from. So it's really important to us that you sign in. I promise you, you will not get spam. We're not selling your emails. This is so we can communicate to you on important township issues, as I think most of you are HOA board members in your community. So we're going to start. They will introduce themselves shortly, so we're going to start right here. Your name and what area of the community you represent, and if you're on a HOA board. Just quickly. Yes?
My name's Jerry Richards, and I'm with the Lake Orient Association. Ron Porter, Wildlife Woods.
Just keep going. All right, ready? Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Steve Marvell, Alcorn Lake Association, Treasurer, Coordinator. I'm Mike York, Open Ridge.
My old neighborhood. Woohoo! Awesome. We're going to hear from Becky in a minute. And then I guess we'll introduce well, you guys are going to speak. So we'll let them introduce themselves when they come up. So the reason we did that is hopefully if you recognize, some of you are in the same neighborhood, maybe, I'm assuming you know each other. But hopefully if you heard a name of a neighborhood next to you, maybe you can connect. I mean, again, part of this is making these connections so that we can work together on projects. Might be a special assessment district, might just be, like I said, working on snow plowing, things like that. Oakland Ridge is where I got my start. I went to a homeowners association meeting and somehow was angry about a development that was potentially going to happen in our backyard. Sorry, Stonegate. Who's from Stonegate? Yeah, we fought against you guys. And somehow I was voluntold that I was going to be the HOA president, I think, and then now here I am. So be careful. You guys might be up here too sometime. But in all seriousness, thank you for your volunteerism. I know none of you get paid to do the jobs you do, and you are what make our community great. And we're grateful you're taking some time on a beautiful night to kind of hear what's going on, get kind of the inside scoop, and be able to ask questions, and hopefully take this back to your email list, your Facebook group pages. We want to share really pertinent information. And there will be Q&A, and we'll probably do it at the end of each person's kind of segment, if you will, so we don't wait till the very end for all the questions. So with that, as you heard, Becky is here, and we've liked, the last couple times we've done this, we've had someone from Orient Neighborhood Television here to talk just a little bit about what they do, because it's an incredibly useful tool. Some of you are shaking your heads because you've utilized them to communicate with your homeowners associations and your groups. So Becky, with no further ado, if you want to come up and chat with us for a couple minutes about what you do and what ONTV can do for the residents here. I don't know why I'm not advancing. There we go. Just the arrow or the space bar will work too.
Right. Well, thanks, Chris. I'm Becky Andrus from Orient Neighborhood Television, and if you are not familiar with us, we are located at the Orient Center, 1349 Joslin Road. Our website is orientontv.org. Orient Neighborhood Television is your community media outlet. So our mission is to empower community members and groups to create, communicate, and connect through television and video production. So that being said, we are a training facility. We offer video production classes and we offer podcast classes. Those are our two main training classes, but we also have one-on-one editing and Photoshop. And what's great about this is that once you've been trained, you get to use our facility at no cost. You get to check out equipment, you get to use our studio, you can come and produce a show at no cost at all. So this is our production van, and you might see this around town at a lot of different events that are happening. We do cover a lot of community events, and right now it's concert season, so we will be at the Wildwood Amphitheater recording the concerts, and downtown at the gazebo. In the fall, we do a lot of fall sports. We partner with the high school, so we use a lot of their students. We partner with them, and they direct, they run camera, they run the graphics, they do all kinds of stuff with us. So you will probably see Joey with our van at the football games this fall. And on the far right is Joe. He's our station manager. He does a lot of the news for ONTV, so you'll see him at almost every event in the community. A couple of our new shows we do. Orient Today Live is something we started a couple months ago. We go live from our studio every other Tuesday of the month, and we usually highlight some kind of nonprofit in the community that's having some kind of fundraising events. We run from 1 to 2 every other Tuesday of the month. I produce a show called Orient Outreach, where we bring nonprofits in just to let them let people know what's going on with their organization and any fundraising events they have coming up. And another new show we have is Scouting on Air. And this is actually the Boy Scouts of America came in as a group, and they were trained as a group, and now they produce their own show. And it's become very popular and has gotten a lot of good reviews. That's been very exciting for us. A couple big events we do throughout the year. We do the food drive, which is a telethon that benefits the Oxford Orient Fish. And last year we raised over $7,000 for their organization. And in the fall this year, we'll be having a film festival. This will be I think it's our 12th year doing the film festival, where teams come and they pay $25 and they get to produce a movie that's 10 minutes or less. And then we go to the Oxford Theater and show it on the big screen. and the first, second, and third, they win cash prizes. So that's been really popular. So if you know anybody who's into filmmaking, I would encourage them to watch for the any kind of postings you see on our website or Facebook about the upcoming event. So you might be wondering where you want to watch us. We have 3 channels. We have our public, our government, and our educational channel. So public is Comcast 10, government's Comcast 20, educational is Comcast 22. You can view us at AT&T UVerse 99, the Roku Cablecast channel, Amazon Fire TV, and you can also go on our website and watch us on demand. We usually have everything we do posted on our website. I encourage you to reach out to us. Stop by our facility anytime. It's a great facility. You would come take a tour if you want. We're open Monday through Thursday night, or 10 to 9, Fridays from 10 to 5, or give us a call, 248-393-1060. You can also, my last slide, it's not there. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel too. So, one other thing we do, I should mention that Chris said that we are recording this. That's ONTV. That's Garrett in the back. He's recording this. So this will be on our on-demand. You can, go to our website and view it again if you want. So, and that's about it. Any questions?
You did a great job. I'll just keep going on my section.
I'm good.
They are an incredible resource, and I know some of you have used them to your benefit, and it's a free service if you live here. So, a few updates from my office. The first one is you're sitting in it. We are so grateful that I know some of you in this room weren't sure this was the right move for us, but we moved forward with the support of our board to construct this new facility in our police station next door. And we got really lucky or blessed, depending on how you want to look at it, with our timing. Some people were calling for us to wait and just kind of see how things went. But we finished the project on time and on budget. And we know that people that are looking to do projects similar to this right now from when we started are looking at anywhere from a 35% to 50% increase with delays. And then obviously we all know what the market's doing. We financed this facility at 1.77% interest, and we're funding it with the revenue we're generating from our landfill and from the marijuana facilities that are located in the southern part of our facility. So we were able to fund this facility and the police station without raising your taxes. And yes, I'm sure all of you have seen that the old hall is being demolished. And Aaron's gonna talk a little bit about what's gonna happen on that site, but that was a very strategic decision that we spent a lot of time discussing before we just made the decision. And for lots of structural reasons and water issues, that was the best decision for our community. And it's gonna turn into something beautiful, which you're gonna hear a little bit about in a couple minutes. I wanted to mention just a couple things on the roads. We are lucky. Did anybody get a chance to take a look at the State of the Township address? 0 of you, that's good. You all can now have an hour of, when you're really bored, if you go to ONT's website or their YouTube page and you search for that, I'm not gonna go through all the details of all the great things happening in our community. You're gonna hear snippets of that from some of our directors, but there's a lot of great things happening in our community. Probably the biggest news is the General Motors investment. I'm sure you've probably heard. They're investing $4 billion into the Orient plant. We started having weekly Tuesday meetings with their team. There's anywhere from 10 to 30 people in these meetings, and we'll continue those meetings all the way through. But they're gonna be building an electric Silverado pickup truck there, and they're doubling the size of the plant and the workforce. And in the short term, they're bringing about 4,000 tradesmen and women on the site daily for the next year and a half, starting in beginning of August, end of July. So it'll be a small city happening there. But the roads around that facility are some of the worst in our community. So we are working diligently with our friends in Lansing to identify the $24 million we need to replace the roads that surround the plant and build a safety path in front of the plant as well. So So that's probably the number one complaint or issue that we deal with in my office is we get road questions. How come my roads have potholes? How come they're not being paved? Why are my subdivision roads so terrible? I've had these conversations with lots of you. I have a meeting with one of your neighborhoods tomorrow morning in my office. Subdivision roads, in the 10 years I've been here, and I think the 20 years before that, have never been maintained outside of some cold patch and pothole fixes by the road commission, even though they are county roads for the majority. I think some of you might have private roads, but most of you have county public roads. And as far as priority goes, to put it into perspective, we've been lobbying, begging, pleading for the road commission to allocate funds to resurface the roads around the GM plant because it doesn't just serve GM. It's a major thoroughfare, cut through, and there's lots of other businesses. And we just, next year, for the first time in 10 years, made the list to get resurfacing. Now we need to rebuild those roads. So the roads are a real issue. The good news is when you live in Orient Township, if you watch the state of the township, you'll see my favorite slide, the frugal index. We operate more cost effectively than any of our neighboring governments around us. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. The cost per capita to run our government is significantly cheaper than every other township around us, and half the price of some of the cities around us. So that's the good news. The bad news is if you want roads fixed in your neighborhoods, you gotta pay for them. And that's usually done through special assessment districts. Raise your hand if your neighborhood's done a special assessment district or your HOA, not just for roads, for anything. Yeah, so I think right now on the rolls, I think we have about a dozen or so, do you know, Donnie? SADs, yeah. And they can be anything from water quality, which we just had phase 1 of the Lake Association's weed treatment program, to resurfacing subdivision streets. And what a special assessment district is the purest form of a tax. I know you're not excited to talk about taxes tonight, that there is, because it is self-initiated. If you want to pave your roads, you start the process by getting petitions of your neighbors. You get to get the quotes. The only thing that the township does is we collect the money and we make sure the contractors get paid. So for example, we had somebody come to the podium on Monday and said, I like the weed treatment program, but I'm not sure if my place is getting treated properly. That's not a complaint with us. They picked this contractor, we make sure the money gets collected and everyone pays, and then we make sure the contractors get paid. So there's no, you can pay for it, like the road repairs are typically more expensive than some people want to pay in one tax bill, so we allow that to be financed. And I think that's 5%, the rate we charge. But other than that, the township makes no money on these special assessment districts. So that's roads, and I'll answer questions on that. Anybody have any questions about roads right now? I know you've heard my spiel, some of you before, yes. This right here, Scripps Road. So that's part of this project. That's part of what we budgeted for, to pave Scripps Road to the entrance of our complex, because our police station is right here, and that will be the main entrance, egress, and exit for our first responders. So it's basically almost like an extension of our driveway, but we're having to build it to county road standards, and that is being funded through the monies we budgeted for this project. Yes? Yep, I have. So the question is, yeah, sorry, Katie. The question is, and I'll repeat the questions because we're recording. The question was, have I heard about the Oakland County Board of Commissioners looking to take over the road commission? And I have. I've met with our county commissioner and a few others, and there is a move by the county commission to potentially sort of take over that organization. I'm not in favor of it personally. I don't think politicians can run the road commission better than engineers. We can all agree they don't do enough for us, but if you look at their budget, I've served on the committee that oversees them for 5 or 6 years now. And one example, if you want to see where they're not spending money, they have the oldest offices in probably the entire county. I mean, they're built in the 50s. They haven't been updated because they want to make sure every penny they get for road funding goes into the roads. It's an organization run by engineers. The potential, as Ms. DiMattia just commented on, would be it would become a political organization where politicians would take it over. I don't necessarily think that's a great idea. But we don't have a lot of say at this level, but you can go to the county board and give them your opinion on that.
That's on Thursday.
That's what I heard. It's a meeting on tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow. Yes. All right, any other road questions? It's the least favorite thing we have to talk about, and the least thing I can tell you that, one thing that usually comes up, and I know some of you probably heard this 10 times, so I'm sorry, but the road commission does have their district office maintenance garage in Orient Township. That garage is right behind the Speedway gas station at Clarkson and 24, but they don't just work in Orient, they support 8 cities, villages, and townships from that location. So the good news is, they're here, and we have a great relationship with the superintendent, and we might get a little extra attention, but they don't just serve Orient Township. So if you say like, how come we don't see those trucks every day in Orient? It's because they literally cover the whole northeast part of the county. Road funding is a challenge. I've been to Lansing a lot recently talking about it and trying to find solutions, but for most of your concerns for subdivision roads, those are gonna have to be self-funded. Yes, sir. Yep. That's correct, and we're Aaron Watley, our Parks, Jeff helped build the project, our Public Service Director, now it's fallen under Parks and Grounds, and we are working with the contractor to get their attention because we are not satisfied with the performance. The good news is we hold $60,000 that we never pay them because we want to make sure we're satisfied. So we are aware and on it. It's literally my biggest pet peeve. Just ask Aaron. It's a challenge right now with, I'm sure you guys all know this, but everywhere you go, people are short of help. And a lot of these landscape companies that get people in from out of the country, the government has not allowed those employees to come in this year. So a lot of these companies are working with a fraction of the staff they're used to working with. So such is the case as our contractor, but we are working on solutions. Yes, go ahead, Aaron.
Just one thing, we agree, it's terrible, and it will be taken care of. So give us a little grace. By 2023, earlier than that, but no later than 2023, we're gonna have that corridor in tip-top shape for everyone. So we apologize for the mess.
It will be pristine. It is literally my biggest pet peeve. Yes. Baldwin Road. Baldwin, where we spent all that money and we spent a lot of money, but the road commission and the federal government spent, it was a $50 million project, I think, in total. Yes.
Just a quick comment with the road commission and working with HOAs and subdivisions on issue. And they will work with you. You have to be very patient. But for instance, we've had our stuff, they've gone through and repaired all the catch basins. And we'll do some of the asphalt repairs and stuff like that. So it might be worthwhile. Again, you have to be patient. But they will work with you to some extent on doing minor repairs.
Yeah, and I'll just state that again because we're recording. I'll do better trying to get people on mics. Yes, if you go to the Road Commission's website, you can either fill out an online form or you can call 858-4804. And it might seem very frustrating, but they create a ticket for every website request and every phone call. So, there really is something to the squeaky wheel here. I would encourage you to be respectful as best you can. I know people get so frustrated, but especially in the spring when every road is tore up. But that's their job to listen to and I think what we have seen in the past is if they get 10 phone calls, those seem to move up the list, or 10 website inquiries quicker than the one phone call. And every time you guys call me or email me, a lot of you do that, I send an email to our foreman. He puts it on his list as well. So we are happy to help, but we're not in charge. We don't hold the equipment or the purse strings on the road funding. So any other questions on roads? I'm going to move on to a couple more things on mine, and we'll keep moving here. Hopefully you all have enjoyed the Orient Living magazine. You all received these. If you ever want additional copies, they're available here and at our Orient Center or Community Center. And then we do a biannual community survey, and we did it last fall. And we really do use this information. And the reason I just want to highlight it briefly here, we talked a little bit about it at the State of the Township, because we use the information, like the 7 people that are elected, we work for you. 3 of us are full-time employees here, but the other 4 are just basically volunteers. And we use this information for things like, over the last 10 years, the #1 thing people want to see more of in Orient, yes, It's on the screen. Grocery stores, grocery options. So we recruited, I know some people wanted something different, but we recruited Meijer. We recruited Papa Joe's, Salvaggio's, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, all of those too. We got Meijer. We have another one that's gonna be submitting very soon on the Baldwin corridor that I think people will be excited about as well. We wanna talk a little bit about our no-haz days. That's coming up. We have one happening right here in Orion, thanks to Kensington Church. And these are just some things, I'm not gonna go through all this. One of the things that was interesting is, I just referenced the magazine, and when I campaigned for this job 10 years ago, in 2012, one of the things that I heard when I was knocking on people's doors was they wanted one place where they could get information, because we were getting 10 publications from the library and the village and everybody. And so we did that. That's why we put that magazine together, and it's been wildly successful, I think. I'm biased, but it's a great place to get information. And there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. So hopefully you receive that. And then on the bottom of your page of the agenda are just ways to stay connected. I know not everyone's on Facebook. Obviously, our website's the best spot, but we put some Facebook pages there. During the Baldwin construction, we were posting daily updates on the road updates page. So those are some useful links as well. And then I'll let Aaron talk about parks. And then last, before we go on to Lieutenant Ofiera, I did want to mention that Kim Urbanowski is a township board member, but she's also the previous Chamber of Commerce director here in Orient Township, and she is now, again, the interim, filling in a gap. So she's here as, I think, wearing two hats. One of the things we have, do you want to talk briefly just about, yes? Yeah. Here, grab the mic. All right.
I got a show and tell.
Oh, show and tell.
I got a show and tell.
These are cool.
Actually, Ross Ensign should probably come up and talk about these, because you know more about these than anybody, I think, besides me. These are welcome bags that we hand out here at the township, also at the Orient Center where our office is located. But these are welcome bags that you can take back to people who are new into your neighborhood. I know you usually drop them off at their homes, which is a really nice way to do that. Or if you want one yourself, I have a dozen. But there's a member directory in here with a lot of different businesses in the area. So this is a nice way to welcome new people to your neighborhood. I know in our neighborhood, I'm in Keatington, I feel like every other day there's a new home up for sale. So a lot of new people coming. So if you would like these, I have some of them. I have, I think, 8 left because I've given you 4. So, or we also have them here, but you're also welcome to come to the chamber office downstairs at the Orient Center and get some too. Pardon me? Well, I grabbed all the ones that we filled, so we can refill them if you need. If you want to call the chamber office, 693-6300, and let me know how many you need. Yeah.
And also, when everyone, when people homestead their house, when they come to the counter and turn in their property transfer affidavit, we give them one as well. So you may end up going to someone's house at some point to give them welcome to the neighborhood. They might have said they already have got one, so keep it for the next neighbor. But when they come to our counter, it's sort of a way to, and that was a cool thing the chamber came up with about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's been really successful. So just a way to get people feeling welcome to the community and things like that. Are there any questions? You'll hear from me throughout the night, but I'm the least interesting one probably of all. Is there any specific questions about anything I covered? Yes.
I just wondered if you'd get us a hint as to what grocery store is submitting for Baldwin Road.
So I worked for a year on the GM project, and I couldn't tell a soul. It was the hardest thing in the world. We signed these NDSs. I cannot tell you the grocery store name. It'll be new to our area. It'll be the first of this one anywhere around us. I think the closest one, So, and I think our residents will be really excited about it. There's a large-scale development that's going to be submitted just north of Morgan Road on the west side of Baldwin, so just north of Panera Bread and all that shopping center. That is not a park. That is a private piece of property that has a long time plan to be developed. Even when we built the road, it was planned that there'd be a large-scale development. So there's a multi-use development that's gonna be submitted any day now, and it will have a grocery store there. I'm not telling you, Katie. Don't try to get me in trouble.
I just have a question. I don't know if the food truck ordinance would be you or fire department.
Fire chief.
I'll wait.
Yep. You'll hear from him and 2 people. Yes.
Just going to add, from what I understand, the Meyer store that's coming in, it's one of their specialty stores.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are really neat. They have one by Beaumont and Royal Oak.
Yeah, so it's not the same thing that's on Brown Road and not the same thing that's in Oxford. It is about half the square footage, only groceries, no clothing, no other, you can't buy fish there and things like that. And it's supposed to be more higher end, like the Royal Oak store, like the Grand Rapids store. What's that? We're lobbying hard because that's what they call, the one in Grand Rapids is called Bridge Street Market. The one in Detroit is called, they're all markets. So, but the submittal for the sign that they submitted says Meyer. But we'll see. But it will be a nice store, and they're cleaning up that site nicely, so. Since our planning and zoning director is not here, I'm gonna give you the number 8, so you'll hear from more from me on that. And if there are additional questions, we'll get to those at the end, jot them down. But for now, I want to introduce Lieutenant Darren O'Fiera. Darren came to us with tons of experience. He literally worked in, I think, almost every department in the sheriff's office, from computer crimes to the jail to dispatch. He's from Clarkston. We don't talk about that too much, but he's a dragon now. But we're, if you have been to these meetings before, or really, if you didn't know Lieutenant Toth, you haven't lived here long, but he was our substation commander for 10 years. We started in 2012 together. He moved on to retirement, and Lieutenant O'Fiera is absolutely, Toth was like tough to replace, but Darren is doing a phenomenal job. So with no further ado, Mr. Darren O'Fiera, you want to come down here? Oh, Clarkson got their roads fixed. They got 5 roads fixed, and they're paying 2 mills for 5 years. 5-year millage for two mills. So if your house is worth $200,000, that's $100 a year times 200. So if your house is worth $200,000, they're paying $1,000 per household. Now that's for a $200,000 house, and the challenge with that is that was a millage they put to the ballot, but they didn't fix any 0 subdivision roads. They specifically identified 5 township roads they were gonna resurface. We've kicked that idea around, and I think we asked it on a community survey 2 surveys ago, and it was wildly not popular. Yeah, all right. Darren.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Darren O'Fiera. I'm the new guy here. I know you will not talk about the grocery store, but the chief and I will. It's going to be an A&P, we believe. So, you heard it from us first. We're not going to hide behind it. So, I've been here for obviously eight months so far, and it has been quite a busy 8 months. So fortunately, they did a survey prior to me being here, and the results are pretty positive for satisfaction with police. I want to focus definitely on the preventing crime and the visibility in the community, which are going to be the lower 2 bars. I've been fortunate. When I first started my police career on the road a few years ago, that's about 23, I started in Orient Township before I went to Independence, so it's nice to come back. So this is something that we're definitely going to focus on, is getting people out into the community. We also have 2 smart carts, or speed carts, however you want to talk to them. I'm sure most of you have seen those floating around in the community, checking out and making records. If you have a road in your community that you want it to come out on, contact us and we will send it out there. We will leave the smart card out there for about a week to get numbers, and we can give you the results of those numbers of number of cars that come through, the average speed, median speed, and we can also send somebody out. It'll give us times that we can target, and we can then direct patrol somebody out to those spots. So if you have a concern, and again, after this, if you have any concerns with either of these, because I want to focus on that 16, 15, 6, and 4 percentages there, preventing crime and visibility in the community, those kind of go hand in hand. So obviously, if we're in the community, less people are going to try to commit crimes when we're out there. So we're going to focus on those for sure. Again, the lower portions are going to be the concerns regarding being in the businesses or commercial areas at night, and again, walking and biking in your neighborhood at night. Hopefully, the walking, biking in your neighborhood at night is more of concern of traffic than it is of a safety concern regarding crime, but again, let us know. Again, that's gonna tie in with us being in your communities. So we're gonna focus on that. Basic, I'm gonna try to make everything quick here. Now that summer's coming up, obviously our calls pick up. More crime is committed in the summer for whatever reason that is, but we also have kids out of school and they have often target of opportunity. So in your communities, make sure that your cars are locked up. Make sure you don't have anything of of any kind of value laying out in the seats, because kids will go in and try to break in, whether it be change, whether you have $1 in your cup holder, they'll go in it because $1 in your pocket's better than no dollars in your pocket. So that's what they will focus on. Also, if you are going on vacation, we have in here that you can make sure that you have your lights on timers, so it looks like there's someone home. If you do go on vacation, whether summer or winter, let us know, and we'll do extra patrols at your houses to make sure. If you do want an extra patrol, just let us know if you have anybody that's going to be coming to your house, watching your house, vehicles that may be there, so we know if something looks out of the ordinary, we can focus on that. And again, things like keeping your trees, shrubs, and vegetation trimmed back to avoid concealment, so people aren't hiding with police cars drive by, they just duck underneath a shrub, we can't see them. So again, keep everything trimmed around your house. Now, contacting us, you can contact the substation at 393-0090, which is up there, which is the same number we had at the old building. You can always still come into our new building and say hi. The non-emergency telephone number is 248-858-4911. You can save that in your phone, and they have it here. You can show it as a dispatch, which is shown on the bottom. That way, if you need it in emergency, you can. A lot of people are concerned that, I don't know if this is an emergency or not. I don't know what I should call 911 or call the non-emergency. If you have a doubt, just call 911. That's what we're here for. So anytime, I can't remember the number, just call 911. Even if it's something that's minor, that's what we have it for. We'll take care of it from there. So you have that. A couple things that are not on the slides. I just kind of give you an idea where you're at. So year to date, as of this morning, we have taken 9,698 calls in Orient Township. That's how many we responded to. That is going to be 200-ish more than last year. And last year, we responded to a total of 19,764 calls. So we are increasing it slightly from last year. So it's not too terribly different. Hopefully it stays that way or actually goes down. So you'll see us taking a lot of calls. We give a lot of the reports of major incidents. We put it to the news, make sure it's on the board notes. So if you ever need those, they're always available as well. You have a staff of 34 deputies, including command, detectives, and school liaisons. So you have a total of 29 deputies, but the rest are going to be the command staff and detectives in itself. So with that being said, we're always busy. We're always running around. If you see us, stop us. If you have any questions, always feel free to give us a call. You can give me a call anytime as well. Any questions before I go running off? Oh, yes, one question.
LT, I do.
Okay.
Mike York from Oakland Ridge. I was wondering about the smart cards lead time. So on Oakland Ridge, I've had numerous neighbors come to me complaining about speed. So I called maybe 2 months ago to request a card, and I haven't heard anything yet. How backed up are you? When can I expect a phone call so I can tell these neighbors, hey, it's coming, don't worry?
Yep, great question. So the question is, how long does it take to get the smart cards out? Ordinarily, it's very quickly. We just pulled them out of storage we don't have them out in the winter, so we just pulled them out of storage to make sure they're functioning. Right now, we are changing the locks on the smart cards, so that's why we're kind of slowly deploying. We want to make sure that the locks are set up prior to us pushing them out so they're not getting broken into. That's the delay. Ordinarily, if we have one out, we usually put one out for about a week. So if we have it at your house, your neighborhood for a week, if somebody else calls, we'll try to finish that week up before we send it out. So plan about a week or two before. Right now, we're just a little bit delayed because of they're being repaired. Answer.
How many cards did you say you had?
How many smart cards or speed cards? We have 2. Well, we have 3, two major ones, and one's kind of in the process of being decommissioned. But we still use it. Yes, sir.
With all the stuff that's going on in schools, does the sheriff's department work in that area, or would that be a different part of a police organization that if they wanted to increase security at schools?
Well, right now, we have 2 school liaisons. One is assigned to the high school. The other one is assigned to the middle school, and then kind of both of them pick up the elementary schools. So we have 2 people dedicated directly to the schools and themselves. In the summer, they take calls and cases regarding the juveniles because they're used to working with them. And they also take other calls in DB. We can also utilize them on the road should something occur. But we do have 2 people dedicated just for the schools. Nope, you have a
I
microphone.
just wanted to say, appreciate the service of the deputies on Lake Voorhees, keeping the lake safe.
Oh, thank you very much.
They're doing a great job, and
Thank
my
you.
interactions with them are always excellent.
Good, I'll let them know, thank you.
Comment, anything to do with the schools, I think the first place you want to head is the school board meetings. They desperately need people attending those.
A couple quick comments. We have, I think, added 3 deputies in the last 2 years. We're very proactive. We want to provide proactive policing here, not reactive, like unfortunately a lot of communities they just don't have the funding. One of those deputies we added in the last couple of years was an additional school liaison, which the township pays for, you guys pay for, but we think it's important. And then, in spite of the rise in calls and how busy they are, we continue to be the safest community in the state our size. So I think the stats, this isn't like Barnett math. This is, the FBI audits all the crime data, and I think we're the safest community in the state of Michigan with a population larger than 25 or 30,000 for like 5 years straight. So even though we're very busy, luckily and thankfully, it's not a lot of
It's not high crimes.
high crimes. I don't know the technical term. Yeah. So we live in a safe community. One more question? Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding speed limits, our subdivision has a smaller road, and we don't pay for the road commission to do our snow. We have to do it ourselves. Because the road is more narrow and the driveways are close together, we have a posted speed limit of 15. Can that be enforced by the sheriff department?
Private
If
road.
it is not a county road, it's not a county road, correct?
Correct. It's a private road.
No, it is going to be a private road.
Okay,
And any road that's not marked is going to be 45. Any of the dirt roads that we have floating out here if it's not marked.
and that's what I thought, was that we really can't enforce anything under 25, but could the 25 standard be enforced if there were problems with that?
If it
Going over
becomes
25.
a true county road that is able to be patrolled, not a private,
Okay,
we can, but because it's a private, now we can come out to make sure that people are not driving aggressively or dangerously,
okay,
but it cannot be enforced for a speed limit itself.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, let's keep moving, and if there is any other questions you think of, feel free.
I will be here, and I'll be seeing you next week.
We're moving from donuts to. Hey, Rob, Rob was gonna say it anyway, so. This is Chief Duke. I'm sitting right here, Chief. But Chief, you've been here 5 years?
Not that long. Seems like it, but yes, no. 4 years and 2 months to be.
Oh,
I was hired
5 years.
almost.
And go ahead, Chief. There's a lot going on in fire, so.
So I'll throw Captain Mitch Terrence in the back. He already introduced himself, but he is the on-duty shift captain today that's in charge of all operations, so you can direct all questions to him. Not really. So just some quick updates. I mean, we're doing quite a bit in the fire department since I got here, but more so it's not because of me, it's because of the voter-approved millage. All the things that we're doing like this year. So at the board meeting Monday night, we just were able to hire 2 more firefighter paramedics. We still have openings. So we're trying to, we need to hire more, recruit firefighter paramedics, which is very hard. Currently, right now in the southeast Michigan, there's anywhere between 40 to 50 open firefighter paramedic jobs. Nobody wants to do our jobs, unfortunately, same like with law enforcement. It's not everybody, you actually have to come to work. We worked during the height of COVID. We didn't get to work remotely or anything. So We hired 2 new firefighter medics on Monday, after the board approved them. We took delivery of a new fire engine last week Friday. That should be in service in the next 2 weeks. That we brought to the board meeting also Monday. We also took delivery of another ambulance, brand new. That's in service now, and I think really one of the coolest things for us, we really have never had a boat, and if you know, Chris will regurgitate these statistics, and I'm usually pretty good at it, but we have quite a bit of lakes.
42.
42 lakes, greater than 5 acres, so we have never really had the ability to do any kind of rescue on the water. So again, we had budgeted for it, and it was approved by the board, so we're waiting. It should be about 2 weeks. There's a delay because of one of the motors on the boat. You know, it's supply chain issues, as we're told. So one boat will be housed on Lake Orient, next to the Lake Orient. It'll be on Lake Orient, next to the police boat. The DDA was kind enough to approve 2 docks, or 1 dock, and then 2 hoists and stuff, so our boat will be with the police boat. It wasn't, I did go out there yesterday to Greens Park, and it wasn't there yet, but our boat's not there quite yet, so it's okay. So that's pretty exciting for us. We've got a lot of good things going on in the fire department. Let's see what else. What am I missing there, Captain Terrence? I got to put him on the spot, so.
Fire truck.
Yeah, we had that here Monday. That's going to be, like I said, that'll be in service in about 2 weeks. We have to do driver's training on it. The dealer comes out and gives us training to all 3 battalions. So if you don't know how the fire department works, so we're on shift 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Typically with 9 personnel, we have 4 fire stations here. The first one is in the Village, 93 South Anderson. That's next to Children's Park. Station 2, 3801 Giddings, just north of the GM plant. Station 3, that's where we're at, Fire Administration, 3365 Gregory, over in that corner. And then Station 4 is at 465 South Baldwin in that corner. So Township's a big square, so there's one in basically each corner of the township. Let's see what else. So there's typically 9 personnel, firefighter, paramedics on shift every day, led by one of 3 shift captains. We have 3 shifts that they don't work every day. They work 24-hour shifts, then they go home, then they come back. They do it 3 days in a row, then they get 4 days off. So average, they work 10 days a month. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but still, it's 240 hours, and you're away from your family, and, you know, we all signed up for it. But, so we, you know, sleep at the fire station, eat at the fire station, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we're available for calls, obviously, both emergency and non-emergency. And to play off the lieutenant, our number is the same, 911. The non-emergency is the same. We typically, it's not just all, basically, our call volume, right now, today, we're at 1,625, which averages out to be about 9.4 calls a day between the 4 stations. 80% of our calls are medical emergencies, cardiac type emergencies, that kind of thing. Fortunately, we don't have too many fires here. Let's see what else.
Buck, just briefly, because it's not recent, but it's recent since we've met with this group. The biggest change in our fire department and then the history of the fire department happened last year when we went from BLS to ALS.
Right, so
and what that means to our residents.
So prior to me coming here, so we were basically a medical first responder department. There was a private ambulance company that used to provide advanced life support. And we transitioned to a full-time fire department, hiring more personnel. And what we do now, so actually June 16th celebrated our first year of fully advanced life support. So what that basically does is we have trained firefighter paramedics that respond in an ambulance. We bring the emergency department to your house or to your place of business. 12 lead EKGs, advanced airways, cardiac medications. Basically, we can do everything the ER can. We also obviously are under the direction of Oakland County Medical Control. Dr. Mehta, he is our department physician. He's the chief of ER at St. Joe's Pontiac. We report to the Oakland County Medical Control. They're out of Pontiac. Dr. Steve McGraw, he's the county's medical director. So for us, it's been a pretty good transition. We're still sending a few people to paramedic school. We have 2 more in medic school that'll finish up here in the next 3 months. So it's been pretty exciting for us to make that transition. And the reason we did that is because we know statistically across the country, fire department can provide a faster service because we're here in the community, and it's not to say that there's anything bad with a private company, but they're in the same boat that we are in terms of not being able to hire personnel. So now we're on scene within 5 minutes to your emergency when you call 911, where before you might have waited 10, 15, or 20 minutes for an advanced life support unit to get there. So it's been really a benefit to the community, if you do have an emergency, that we're there within 5 minutes. So then, like I said, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. We started advanced life support June 16th. So we're no longer on probation, because you're always on probation with Oakland County Medical Control, and we passed with flying colors. So that's a good thing. Not that I was expecting anything less, but, so yeah, that's pretty exciting for all of us. And both the men and women that, obviously are employed, are excited, they wanted to do it, so the need was there. So thanks to you all as community members, the voting for the millage, that helps actually fund that system.
And I'll just jump in real quick. A few years ago, we asked you if you were interested in us pursuing this, in our community survey. Overwhelmingly, the response was yes. And then the millage passed overwhelmingly, a 1 mil increase, which again cost the average resident about $100 a year to modernize their fire department. And we were seeing, our fire department would show up in 4 minutes, but we would sometimes have 19, 20 minutes for an ambulance that could show up and actually provide, they could do CPR and that's about it, or the Heimlich. Now we have, physicians almost showing up that can, save people's lives, and they have saved several recently. So we appreciate your support on that, and it's really cool to see that working. Talk really quick about ISO and how that we don't know anything yet, but with the modernization of our fire department, we get rated by, and that's how your home insurance rates get set. And if we have a reduction in the number, what would that mean, Rob? For
ISO stands for the Insurance Service Organization. So every 5 years, it is a third party that comes in and evaluates fire departments across the country. So it's not just here in Michigan, but it's East Coast to West Coast, North to South. So we were just reevaluated about 2 weeks ago. And with all the improvements in the village, with their water improvements, what we've done here in the township, with the apparatus that we purchased, adding staff. So currently we're an ISO Class 4. The best is a Class 1. There are about 100 Class 1 departments throughout the country. It's extremely hard to get to that level. I'm expecting a decrease, or going from a 4 to hopefully 3. So there's a lot of factors that play into that. So the fire department accounts for about 50%, 40% is the water system and delivery system, both here in the township and the village. And then also dispatch takes 10%. So that we get dispatch through Oakland County Sheriff's Department and Clemmis. So they evaluate that whole process, and we're expecting to see a decrease to go from a 4 hopefully to a 3. And that really will benefit the residents and commercial businesses in the industrial areas here, and it should bring your taxes down.
insurance, not taxes. Yeah, and we and we have a couple of insurance people in here, but I checked with my insurance guy.
Sorry.
And just said, if we do this, and it might be, for me, it might be like $100 a year. So the cool thing would be if the increase that you paid, and this is not a promise, by no means, but it would be really cool if the trade for what you're paying in additional, you could save on the back end and have a better service. That's my desire. If that's the case, this is the group, this is one of those times we will use your email addresses and say, our ISO rating has been decreased. You might send a message to your residents saying, have their home insurance re-rated by their carrier because they could see a savings.
It won't happen automatically, you will have to ask.
You have to ask.
Go out and show up when you're shopping insurance, they will check what your rate is. If you have an existing policy for 5 or 7 years, they're gonna assume it's the same. And I had a guy who had a huge drop because his local community did social improvement, we had to jump through hoops together to get his rating. Guys, hundreds of dollars for him. He was way remote.
The insurance companies aren't gonna like me, but we will be shouting from the rooftops because we wanna save you money. And it'd be a great kind of full circle there, so.
That would be a good place for an article in the quarterly.
Absolutely.
To let everybody know about it.
And we don't know, right? It's up to them, and we're doing everything in our power, so we'll hope right now. That's all we can do is hope.
We just got, the field representative was just out about 2 weeks ago, and we spent an entire day with him going through, he comes out, we went through all our fire apparatus, down to the nozzles, to the hose, to you name it. It's not like an easy process. It happens every 5 years. So, like I mentioned, a Class 1 is the best. A Class 10 means you have no fire protection whatsoever, so we're right now at a 4. We expect to go to a 3 at least. And we're gonna obviously keep striving to get better, but, so I mean, that's kind of like.
Question here, and then I want you to talk food trucks. Go to the question first, please.
Quick question.
Yes, yeah, we will let you know.
We have a lot of people who live alone, and some are quite elderly, and some bad things have happened. I know that when my parents had a lockbox, I think it was from Knox, and I think you guys may support that.
Yeah, we support Knox and also a Roper box. A Roper box is a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
And it's just, we put your house key in there. We're the only people that have the key to it. And it's in a locked, it's called a Knox system. It's a secure system on our vehicles. So all you have to do is contact us. And another shameless plug is we also do free home safety checks and smoke alarms. So we received a grant through the state of Michigan a couple years ago to offer free smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. So if you need them, all you have to do is call us.
And they come out?
And we'll come out.
In uniform. I know some. Hey, I had a resident call me and tell me it was the best thing about living here. And I'm like, we can't call him every week.
We'll send Captain Terrence. He loves going out in uniform.
Sorry, guys. This is my level at 8 o'clock at night. All right. So there was a little bit of admitted controversy and frustration about the new food truck ordinance. Rob, Duke, why in the world would we do this? And what's the purpose?
So it was not just a quick decision to make. It took us over 10 months to come up with this food ordinance. We're not the only municipality in Michigan that has it. My former fire department has one, Rochester Hills, Oxford, Independence, White Lake, Waterford. So quite a few surrounding departments and townships have it. It's whether or not they enforce it or not or have the ordinance. So the reason we did this is, so several years ago, we noticed that there was a problem with food trucks that were coming in, carts, trucks and stuff that weren't safe. Basically, our job is to look at life safety. That's what our job is. All these food trucks or carts or mobile food establishments, they get vetted by two groups, if you will. Oakland County Health Department, but they don't check for safety stuff. They check to make sure that the hot dogs are 165 degrees. They check to make sure that you have a refrigeration system. They check to make sure that they wash, rinse, and sanitize whatever cooking materials that they're using, and they make sure that they have like fly and bug protection, so flies aren't coming in and out. They don't check to see that the propane or whatever your fuel source is secured. They don't make sure that if you're cooking, because basically if you're cooking, you have grease-laden vapors that collect on these ducts and hoods, which can cause a fire. Several years ago, about 2 years ago, we had a food truck come around the corner from Clarkston and Baldwin. Propane tanks fell out because they weren't secured, rolled into the ditch, and we had one explode. So there was no real control over that, and nobody had oversight to it. So like I said, this wasn't a quick decision. It took us over 10 months to look at several ordinances of other municipalities to come with our ordinance. It was adopted by the board on April 4th of this year, 2022. It's Ordinance 162. We've had a great relationship so far with all the vendors that we've inspected. You can go on the fire department's website, and as of today, this morning, we have 28 approved vendors that can operate for a year in the township. We have another 7 scheduled this week. Taco Fest is coming up across the street at Canterbury. So really, the vendors have not had any concern or complaints about it. Many of them already go to other municipalities that are inspected as well, so.
Yeah, so the frustration that we heard was just it's a money grab. We're just trying to find another way to charge people money and hurt businesses. And, you know, the one thing I started working on recently is seeing if we could get a countywide inspection, potentially, that if they got inspected, they could be good in the whole county for a year. The other thing we did, I think at the request of one of the groups that's in the room, I won't call them out, was I know some of you have food trucks during COVID that came in your neighborhood. It was a nice way for people to get outside and have a change of things. We put in the list that are on the website of the ones that are inspected, so you know who's approved already. So if you're interested in having a food truck come through your neighborhood, you can go there and see. And the last thing I'll say on this is we charge $100. It takes our guys and a couple hours maybe. They bring it in. This is not a profit center for us. We're kind of covering costs. It was not the intent of the board to make it a profit center. And to be honest, I mean, the first 10 or 12, I talked to the food truck owners to just see how the process was. They said it was easy. They expected it, and if the fee was reasonable or cheaper than what they pay in other communities. So those are some of the things we heard, the negative feedback, but it wasn't really a big government thing. It started with Canterbury has become an event center, as most of you know, and we had some real life safety concerns with some of the vendors that were out there in the past. And if you just Google food truck fires and things on YouTube, you can see that these things aren't always safe. So our goal is to make sure they're safe. Questions on that or anything else for the chief?
So I do organize food trucks for our neighborhood, and I have for the past 3 years. So I have like a good relationship with a bunch of them that wanted to come back, but getting the permit isn't worth it for them if they only do a few events in Orient. But putting that aside, I have talked to a few owners that like tried to get the permit or whatever, and they said it was a little bit difficult just because of like they put their truck away for the winter, for example, and then so they got their hood vent inspected before they put it away, and then now since it's almost been 6 months, they weren't approved because it has to be every 6 months, and so now they can't get it, or not going to get it because they're like, just the cost doesn't make sense for them to do a few events if it was just clean. So I'm just curious, like, is what we've decided on, I appreciate the safety aspect, I appreciate you guys looking out for that. Just is the, like, ordinance, how it's set, pretty, like, it's not gonna change, or is there, like, depending on how it goes, could have a little bit more leeway, or just curious for future?
Well, I mean, the ordinance is written as it is now. I mean, we can always look at it if there's issues. You know, the problem is, it's just like a restaurant hood vent. We have to stay to the same standards as they do. They have their hoods cleaned every 6 months also. And I know it makes it difficult, but, you know, I mean, I don't wanna say it's, most people know, most vendors do understand that they have to get them cleaned anyway. So whether it's lucrative for them or not, I don't know. I mean, that's the hard part, right? I mean, it's up to them to decide. I mean, not every community has an ordinance, but we found, like I said, that was one case that I explained, like, the nice thing is, well, I guess maybe not nice, but the good thing that we found is we've only denied about 5 trucks or vendors so far, and the reason being is actually we found some good things. People run their gas generators inside where they're cooking. That causes a problem, right? Carbon monoxide, we're not compatible with that. We also found another food truck that had propane tanks sitting on the front seat, the passenger seat, not secured. We also found an exhaust system from some generators. The tubes was smashed, and it was backfilling the truck with carbon monoxide. So it's really been a good thing, I mean, truthfully.
Says they have the ordinance, but they're not on the website, right? Or they said they have the permit, but they're not on the website right now. So who can I cross-reference just to make sure?
Yeah, our office admin updates them every day.
Okay.
She put another 4 on today.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can always call the fire department
Yeah.
and see, and I can check in the morning when I go in if you have
Okay,
their
yeah,
name or something.
yeah, I have the name. I just want to make sure that we're
Yeah.
only using.
I mean, like I said, I think we have 5 or 6, maybe more this week to do yet, so.
Right there's
I have to say, in the perspective of our neighborhood, this has been a very detrimental thing. That's really ruined a lot of, not ruined, but it's been a detriment for neighborhood connectivity and so forth, and we are Rolling Meadows. And it's unfortunate because, yes, you gave an example of a propane tank that rolled off. I don't think you inspect every welder that drives around the neighborhood with propane tanks on their cars and so forth. So it is a little bit of an overbearing, in my opinion, and we have made the decision in our association to not allow food trucks, because just as your example, we have to check, cross-reference. There's a fine associated if you do have a food truck in your neighborhood, if you're utilizing. So it is a very, in our opinion, an overbearing ordinance that you guys issued, and it does have a direct impact on the community. And I'm sure if you did a survey on it, as Chris, you've mentioned numerous times, surveys and your responses, this will not come back as a favorable ordinance viewed by the association.
I guess my question would be, what's so detrimental about keeping safety and life safety in your community?
I could
don't
check a
understand.
million different things for safety. We could all have
Right.
masks on in this room right now and so
Sure.
forth for safety. You make determinations every day in your job.
You do.
What's worthwhile, what isn't. It certainly seems like an overbearing. And you have 28 food trucks now. I'd be really interested to hear what the numbers next year on renewals are, or how many just don't participate anymore. And that's gonna hurt the community even further.
any other questions for the chief right now? we started some discussions to see if we could come up with a way to do that, but it's not as simple as you think, but, I mean, I like to think of trying to come up with common sense solutions in small government, and, so there's nothing, I've just started the discussions on it. I think it makes sense. If somebody gets inspected, they could go any place in the county, potentially, and I've just started talking to some other supervisors about it. So, you know, it's different, and if if any of you watch our board meetings, you'll see our board struggle with some of these same questions. I mean, Kim asked a lot of these questions. You know, I had a food vendor at my kid's grad party, and how much is too much, but, you know, we got 10,000 people coming through on a weekend across the street, and none of us want to have an incident that we're on the news for in our community because it really is, it's a tough one. The good news is there's 30 trucks. This weekend, we're going to be more than 30, so you can go on that list and pull from that list. And to be honest with you, the catch on this is I've heard from some of our brick and mortar restaurants when we were coming out of COVID that were really frustrated that there was zero regulation, zero taxes paid, and the brick and mortars were struggling to stay in business and dying for people to go back to them. And we had mobile food trucks rolling through neighborhoods taking the business from them. So understand there's always like multiple sides to every issue, and we really try hard to listen and not be overbearing. I mean, to be honest, it might be something that the board next year says there's no fee. We just want them to be inspected. We're not making money on $100 per inspection. We're not. It might cover our cost. So it's not a cash grab. It's not a way to secretly tax the residents again. So, all right, thanks, Chief. We're going to turn it over to Jeff Stout, our Public Services Director. We've been working together for 10 long. Yes, Jeff is 26 years old.
Oh, let me go through Rob's thing here. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Stout, the Director of Public Services. My department does take care of all your water and sewer needs, which includes cross connection. Safety paths shouldn't be on here anymore. That went over to Aaron Watley, and we still do offer Phragmite treatment information as well. I'm asking for your help on this one. So at the beginning of every year, we negotiate for usage and purchase of water with Great Lakes Water Authority. There's peak demand times, there's less demand times. Every year, we have summertime watering restrictions. The good news is it doesn't mean you can't water. I'm just asking you, per our ordinance, just to water between midnight and 5 a.m. It's a lower demand time. If we go over our peak demand times throughout the course of the year, we're actually penalized. And in the end, that's just going to generate more costs. So we really don't have that big of a problem with that. And again, I'm just asking for your help on that. And that's if you're connected to the water system and you have an underground irrigation system, that is what we hope that you comply with. You can water all day on Sunday. Currently, we don't have any problems to extend water or sewer mains. That being said, we still have 23 lift stations. Lift stations are basically a sump pump that runs 24/7 that moves waste. Each one of those is between $300,000 and $1 million. So we are on them every single day. We do our best to maintain them, but some of them are coming to their end of service life. So the good news is there's some dollars available with the state, with Lansing. We're doing everything we can to try and secure grant dollars so that we can utilize free money for that costly thing. We're out there all the time, sewer jetting. Basically, it's rotor-rooter on a high-class level. On the southeast side of Orient Township is where we're at this particular season. We continue to use GIS mapping, which allows us to simply take our tough box or whatnot, our portable computer, and when we come to your house, we know exactly where curb boxes are located. It speeds things up. It allows us to maintain at the utmost of efficiency. Right now, in the Rolling Meadows subdivision, we're doing GIS mapping. So if you see blue stakes or whatnot, that's just me. Couple different ways to still make your payments, water and sewer related, ACH, automatic checking. Right now, approximately 2,000 residents are doing that. It's a good thing. If you have any questions on that, Liz Guzanik in my office can help you take that path if you so choose. Paperless billing, about 2,800 people now get their bills through email. Every year, the state requires us to do a water quality report. On that table are some hard copies, but you can go on our DPW website to get a copy of everything that we do as far as testing and the water quality. I'm going to give you the bad news in person. At the Monday night board meeting, we did approve increases. These are pass-through increases from Great Lakes Water Authority and WRC. On the water side, it's a 3.4% increase. On the sewer side, it's a 6.8%. These are just pass-throughs. We're not adding anything on. We're doing everything on that we can from our group, North Oakland County, to still try and lower those percentages. I know it might not be any consolation right now, but Orient Township, through our NACWA agreements, which is just North Oakland County, Pontiac, us, Rochester Hills, Rochester, Auburn Hills, we still enjoy some of the lowest water and sewer rates in the county. I know that doesn't feel good right now, but I just told you it was a 6.8% increase. Garbage service. There's about 12,000 customers. The good news is we don't hear from every one of those 12,000 customers. GFL does do our regular garbage collection. On the holiday shift, if you could just figure that it's going to be pushed out a day. Yard waste is available April through December. If you need a compost sticker for a container, we have those at a number of the counters in Township Hall here. Bulk items, I live in Roundtree. I have set out some crazy stuff, and they have picked it up. I think we're in year 3 of a 5-year agreement. I mean, if you know, typically we only hear from people if something's gone horrifically wrong, and you know, we take some calls. Some of the calls that we can answer is regarding your garbage account with GFL. That has to go directly to their queue. I've heard it. I know that when you get on the GFL queue, you may be sitting there a while. If you find you can't get a hold of them, feel free to call our office. You can ask for Mary. Every time you do call for anything, whether it be roads or garbage or water, we do pass stuff along to RCOC and GFL. We have the route supervisor's name on speed dial. We do not ignore your calls pertaining to garbage. Hazardous waste, I think Chris mentioned, there's a free disposal day on September 17th. Do you have a date or a location for that?
Kensington Church.
Kensington Church.
There it is.
As if on cue.
You guys are familiar with the no hazards for your paints and your batteries and your, all that stuff you don't want to go to the landfill. And we every year have the highest participation by community. Our residents are good about it. Yeah, Ross? We have that in our contract.
Listen, if you have that, if anybody has that issue or sees anything, so if GFL truck pulls up in front of your house and you notice that they are leaving a puddle of anything, oil, hydraulic oil, whatever, slime, feel free to contact them and you can contact us. I don't want you to be detectives, but if you can get a truck number, I mean, that helps immensely because we can call the direct route supervisor and he can, I mean, he's in town as well. So any problems pertaining to that, feel free to give a call. We do offer a recycle bank program. I want to thank you for all your participation in recycling. I know in Roundtree, I see multiple cans out every single Friday. The recycle bank rewards, the list is right there. Take advantage of them.
One more note on that before you go, if you don't mind.
I'm not going anywhere.
We have a 5-year contract with GFL. We've been generally pretty satisfied. They've been responsive if there's issues. We do have a lot of teeth in our contract. And, you know, I think a lot of people that doubted us, that thought there were gonna be fuel surcharges. If there's ever a time for a fuel surcharge, it's right now. Look at your bills. You're not paying a penny more than what we said 3 years ago when we signed the contract. So that's good news. The way we can keep our prices down is if we can improve recycling, and we still are lower performing recycling than other communities, because before we had a single hauler, we didn't require weekly recycling, and a lot of our garbage companies only did every other week, so it's just our residents aren't as good as some other communities. The more ways we can defer from the landfill, the more likely our price, we could potentially see a price reduction at the end of the 5-year contract. That's happened in other communities. So the recycle rewards, the recycle bank, it's free. You don't have to do it, but it's like the Speedway rewards, CVS, you all have those cards. There's incentives to participate. And basically, they're not sorting through your stuff. They just, the trucks are all really high-tech and computerized, and they know if they lift up a recycle bin at your address, it puts a little thing in the system, and you get rewarded for that. The good news is you can turn those points in for local businesses, and it's good for the local businesses. And we are just been talking with the superintendent tonight of schools. We're going to give them a big check for their Green Schools program because a lot of residents, it's like the old cereal box tops. They're choosing to donate their points to the school, and the recycling club at the school or environmental club at the school put a program together, and we're going to fund their whole program. So it's a really cool way to get people to have better habits, and maybe we can keep our prices really stagnant when we have to go to renew the contract. And all that information is available on our website, but I just wanted to give a quick plug for that. Back to you, Jeff.
Phragmites. Chris and I started talking about Phragmites in 2013, and the reason I mention it to you guys is because every one of your subdivisions have retention and detention ponds. And over the last couple of years, if you remember the 8.5 inches of rain that fell in a couple hours in Orient, we found where all the weak links as far as maintenance go on. If you have a retention or detention pond with Phragmites, call my office. We can get there's no cost estimate, put you directly in touch. PLM is the contractor that we have been using and utilizing, and that can assist you in your maintenance needs. We have found that the invasives are pretty much one of the #1 cause, that and garbage, of problems with the proper drainage of your stormwater. One more thing, I just want to say this, I say it every time. There is no such thing as a flushable wipe. Cross connection. This has everything to do with maintaining a safe drinking water supply. There are a number of potential cross connections in everybody's home and business. The ones that we're focusing on right here are your irrigation systems. Every irrigation system connected to the municipal water system should have a backflow. The state mandates that every 3 years, you have a backflow, we have a backflow test performed. If you can go on our website, there's a list of ASSE certified contractors. We don't recommend one or the other. There's 100 of them. Like I said, they're every 3 years. Just submit the forms by the end of August. If you don't have a sprinkler system, there's a spot to check not applicable and send that back in as well. It depends on where you live in the township. So we did 362, and then we do 360 is the biggest, and correct. West Nile virus, when you came in, there's a bunch of 2 kinds of bug lotion, and there are containers of little pucks. The pucks are for your standing water. If you have any standing water in your yard or your retention ponds, it's all free. We participate with the county. We get thousands of dollars in free West Nile virus protection products. each year. We've been doing that since about 2013 as well. If we run out there, we've got plenty more. Stop by the office, and they're on the counters. I think Aaron has stuff set up everywhere. It's for your protection. I don't know that we've had any West Nile virus issues in the township, which is a good thing, but I know it does exist in the county.
And it's a grant, and we get them, we participate and throw them in your retention pond, any place mosquitoes can form, and it's for your protection, but also it helps them enjoy your backyard a lot more as well, and your neighborhood common areas, and it's free.
Please ask me anything, except about grocery stores.
I have a quick comment. I've got the mic, Jeff Ross. So I just have a quick comment about the water tower, because that helps keep our rates down as well, too. So it's over on Silverbell, maybe if you make a quick.
Well, we have the water tower, which is about 200 million gallons of storage capability. We attempt to fill that every night. It offsets, it's all part of this mathematical equation, but water purchase at night is actually cheaper than during peak demand hours. So hence the watering restrictions, and I think in 2010 is when it was built. Like I say, it's just another way that we try and keep the cost of water and sewer as low as we possibly can. You know, we have an 8-man crew. Bill Basco is our water and sewer superintendent. That's all we do is water and sewer with those guys. We sit on all the boards. We try to negotiate every time we can. The good news is our system is relatively young. I mean, compared to a Royal Oak or Madison Heights or Warren, I mean, our pipes underground are relatively young, which is a good thing. By jetting, by cameraing, several years ago we bought a camera truck. It's not that interesting of videos, but you'd be surprised what you see down in the pipe system. We try and.
Any other questions on?
Last question, Jeff. I give you a plug. Your guys, anytime we call them, they come right out, and they've done great work for all of our residents. Fast question, water quality. The only thing I spotted in here was a lead issue. Is that because of the village where the older pipes are, or what?
There is no lead issue in the township.
Okay, so it appeared to be a figure in here.
Well, there might show something, but it's way, way below the threshold.
Within, I think about that commercial, acceptable lead limits. You guys have all seen it there. It's not what I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah, just a quick one, too. When are they looking at those proposed rate increases to take effect?
July 1st, to be on your
July
August
1st?
bills. By July 1st, it'll be on your August bill.
What's the rationale for the increase, the 6.8% increase on the sewer when our services haven't been increased, but we're getting huge rate increases?
Well, there's a litany of things pertaining to the sewer infrastructure of Oakland County. We're a part of all that. It's just that maintenance, it's the treatment cost, it's, you know, it's just the cost of sewage. Our sewer goes in two different directions, one through Pontiac and one kind of over toward Rochester Hills. It kind of actually follows the Paint Creek Trail direction through a series of lift station after lift station until it gets to a treatment and ends up back in the Great Lakes. All those systems are aged and require huge maintenance costs, and every municipality is bearing the brunt of that. The good news for us is we don't share a dual system with our stormwater and our sanitary. So those municipalities, Royal Oak, Berkeley, South Oakland, they're bearing huge costs because they've got to split pipes. So it's just, for lack of a better phrase, it's a trickle-down process here for maintenance costs.
To directly answer your question, I mean, Jeff did a great job, but we change nothing in the community and our rates go up. It's not like we're adding bells and whistles or have issues. It's all downstream of us. You know that big sinkhole that happened over on the east side a couple years ago? You all got a rate increase for part of that because we were part of the $100 million fix. It's part of our residents.
What took place that day in Fraser, directly it affects us, every one of us that use the system. Sir?
Just in regards to the new requirement for all homeowners associations to submit our water meters every winter, in regards to that, what's the reasoning behind that specifically? And then the other question I have also is the issue we ran into this year, this is, I know, the first real year in regards to it, is when they're removing it, we're not able to winterize the systems 100%. So we have a vacuum seal that needs to be replaced tomorrow. That's going to cost our association about $800. And we have another one that the pipe burst because water lingered in it because we're not able to winterize the system 100%.
So listen, I agree with that, everything you just said there. So as far as scheduling for the meter removal, contact us. I don't care when it is. I mean, we can work around your schedule, and we won't pull that meter until you do have your system winterized. Now, let's make sure that it's not the end of November when we're doing that. The reason that we take the meters is because several HOAs have multiple meters. They're numbered. It directly correlates to the billing amount. Some of those get switched by Acme Sprinkler Company if they do it. We maintain the control over where we pulled it from and where it goes back. We have a dedicated area that's heated. We look at those. We make sure that they're properly synced. It's just so that we have had several instances of HOAs firing their sprinkler company and us having to go retrieve meters, or there's a long story for it. So it's just simplification for our life. But that being said, be happy to schedule it whenever.
Jeff, just a quick question or comment. Years ago, when we first started doing these forums, you had made a statement saying that you were hoping that we could lift these watering restrictions because something was going to happen. And what was that, and why didn't it happen?
I don't remember what could have happened. At any rate, we are just so tight now as far as our negotiations for usage and whatnot. I think that everything has just escalated so fast as far as costs that we're walking a fine line here. Even with the 2.5 million gallons of storage, it all comes down to peak demand usage, low demand usage. I mean, I'll say it, the chances of paying less for water and sewer over the next coming years are slim. And yeah, so every month I have between $600,000 and $700,000 water and sewer bill that we pay our bill every month for the usage that we provide. When we were quarterly, it never caught up. I mean, we were always kind of behind. So along the same lines as your DTE bill and your Ford Motor Credit bill and every other bill, it's a monthly deal.
This goes back to the GFL contract. Are they still, we're in the initial 5-year contract. They said that if a residence was vacant or not using the garbage for a month, they could get a rebate. Do you know if that's still in effect? Not a rebate, I'm sorry, a discount. I think it was $50 if you were gone for 30 days or more.
That's a snowbird discount. A snowbird, you can do it once a year for 90 days. It's on the website, the information. You have to tell them ahead of time when you want to turn your service off. No one can opt out, but if you're going to be gone, you can get a reduced rate. Yes, but you have to, the information's on our website. Sorry to jump in, Jeff.
I'll check that, thanks.
Yeah, yep.
This is just for my clarification. 3 weeks ago, I asked the people at the water department for the new rates July 1st. What you just talked about are different than what they gave me 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and literally, we got those rates within, well, we took it off the first board meeting in June because we didn't have the final on the paper number.
You can call the county and ask them that question. We're dealing with the same frustration.
I would love it if you call WRC. please call WRC as often as you do RCOC.
That's the Water Resource Commission for Oakland County. That's what WRC is.
Sir.
I know there was a significant improvement in the water pressure when you guys put the water tower in. Obviously, the township's grown quite a bit. It sounds like you're maybe not filling that water tower up every night at this point. Does it make sense at some point that you're going to need another one?
Our water model does not suggest that at this time. Even with the GM plant and the new multi-subs and whatnot, the water model, we still have plenty of capacity. Hey, thanks. I'm here all week.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, now we move on to Building Department, and probably what a lot of you are interested in is Ordinance Enforcement. One quick note just for Jeff as Dave's coming up is, some of you found out the hard way, the township, Jeff's department, does not maintain the drainage systems, storm drainage systems in your neighborhoods. That's the road commission, and a lot of you have found this out the hard way. The retention and detention ponds are usually the homeowners association's responsibility, and it's expensive. So if this is the first time you're hearing that, or you're a newer sub, you should look into that. We can give you some guidance. Our engineers will help you. That's why Jeff talked about phragmites and the importance of keeping them clear. I know our old sub had to spend a big chunk of change. Silverbell Oaks had to spend a big chunk of money that they weren't expecting, and they get mad at us, but it's not our system.
And on that note, if you guys do experience those issues, you can still feel free to call us up, because we will bombard RCOC's online tool as well, and make those calls saying, hey, we're getting reports of this. So any bit of squeak in that wheel, we're happy to partake in.
All right, Dave Goodlow, our building official. Thank you, Dave.
Hello, everyone. David Goodlow, building official. I left my card on the table in the vestibule. If you want to grab it on your way out, if you need anything from me. We also have Ask the Building Official tab on our website. You could send an email anonymously, or give us some information about any issues you have, or just ask any simple questions. I see a lot of familiar faces, actually, that I have dealt with in the past through some tough issues, Keatington being one. Debbie, good to see you. So first thing I'm going to talk about is drainage. It's been the #1 issue for us this year. Obviously, Orient Oaks probably knows all about the drainage issues that we've been having. One thing that HOAs have to realize is that the drainage easements are very important. Typically in the old subs, we get berms built in them, and that backs up and goes on to a neighbor and starts a new drainage course. It's very important that HOAs hold their members accountable for those drainage easements, knows where they are, so they can't build up berms or plant trees. Make sure that you're aware of that, where those are located, who's doing work in them, and hold them accountable. Don't let them do it. Otherwise, you're going to have one good neighbor with nice landscape, and the other one's going to be flooded out and won't be able to even use their yard. We've seen it a lot, especially with some of the weather changes we had. Last year we had 8 inches of rain in several hours over across the 24 there, and it was just a nightmare. Imagine if power went out with that. I wanted to talk to the insurances. Nobody had insurance for that, so maybe think about carrying a rider on your insurance if you're in a high area with some water issues. Jeff spoke about the phragmites in your retention and detention ponds. It's very important to make sure they're clean and clear. It causes backups, obviously, issues with algae, bugs, long grass, ticks. It really causes an issue if you do not maintain those, and those are the HOA responsibilities. Catch basins in the back edge of the property, we have to make sure those are clear. It is usually the responsibility of the HOA, not the homeowner. A lot of times, especially in the newer subs or even in some of the older ones, you get depressions around your catch basins because there's an overdig area for where they put the infrastructure in for that catch basin. That depresses, and then all of a sudden it wears out the sides of your catch basin, and debris starts getting in there, and then it causes backups. We've seen it on some of the older subs during that rain where they were backed up. Some of the ones in the road, on private roads, actually had concrete in them. So it's not a bad idea to have those checked, often, just to make sure that we're not having issues with that, because it can cause a backup. These aren't designed for 8 inches of rain. That was a 10,000-year event. They're designed for a 100-year flood. they're not maintained, you know, with some of the weather that we've been having and some of the storms, you know, we don't want them backing up and then backing up into your homes. Well, typically, it depends on where the storm drain is located. If they're located in the right-of-way on a county road, then, you know, you have them. But if they're in a private road, they're Cedar Key? Well, you can send me an email, I could take a look at it, tell you whose responsibility it is. We've had issues where one gentleman put a berm in their backyard, washed out a whole driveway of another resident, and the HOA is gonna have to probably be held responsible for that in the long run. So it's definitely good to educate yourself on those patterns in your communities. It's also, you know, with a lot of these subs, you know, people are doing patios and landscaping and decks, you know, where do you put if we dig a hole, where do we put the dirt? A lot of people just throw it in the backyard and say, oh, it's gonna be fine. Well, you know, most of these subdivisions are engineered to show where to front of the water place. If you take the dirt from a 16-inch hole for a big deck, and you have 5 of them, you know, you spread that over the backyard, you're talking 2 inches raised and a grade level over the entire backyard. I've seen it a couple times. So, you know, pay attention to that when people do have projects. For the architectural communities, keep an eye on, you know, if you see somebody doing work without a permit, please give us a call. You know, it's for the safety of the community and the residents and themselves. We do double the permit fee for work done that has not obtained a permit. We do ask for your architectural approvals when we do get a permit submittal. So it's something that we try to actively engage in with the HOA so we know some of the issues that you have, or, you know, some people try to build things without your approval, obviously, especially in the older subs, or, you know, there's not knowing, so education is the key. We appreciate active homeowner association in the building department. You really help us get with our jobs, with, you know, maintaining some of the order in your communities. We cannot enforce some of the things that you can because they're, you know, within your master deed. We go by our ordinances. So, you know, we appreciate having active HOAs, and I appreciate you all being here today. So, like I said, a lot of those easements, hold those members accountable. We do ask for, like I said, we ask for that copy of HOA approval. So if you don't have a letter, please come up with a form. That way, you know, we have it, so we know that you looked at their project. Remember, if they change something, to inform you. We ask for, if they change something on our plan, we're gonna ask for a revision, but we're not gonna ask for another HOA approval letter. So if we get a revision, you know, we'll just look at it for building code issues, but I think your architectural committees need to be active on how they're doing it, if you have one. If you don't, you probably should, you know, think about starting one up to maintain the looks of your communities.
And we don't check your bylaws. So somebody might try to pull a shed permit. We don't have every subdivision's bylaws on file. Some of your subs don't allow sheds. We've issued permits in the past, and people build a shed, and then they get upset because their HOA makes them take it down. So it's important that we have this communication. We try to do the best we can, but again, we don't have 75 bylaws on file that we can review every time. That's something that will be helpful for that the communication that Dave's referencing.
Yeah, and absolutely, and you know, if you aren't on the list, in Mr. Barnett's list in the supervisor office or on that map, please make sure you get on it, because that's how you get on our radar, and we know you're an active HOA. We're definitely gonna be, you know, hey, where's your paperwork from that HOA? You know, some communities just don't have them in their subdivisions where they have an active HOA. It's usually on the shorter roads, but if they don't, they usually just send it in, and we look at it for building code issues and move forward. So it's definitely a good thing to have. We also handle code enforcement, which consists of weed violations. We get 8 inches tall is the weed height rate currently. The reason we actually had it at 12, we dropped it to 8 2 years ago because we give 10 days to comply per our ordinance. By the time we'd get out, and if 10 days went by the time we get out there, it'd be 15 inches. And if we had to send somebody to cut it, it was a real hassle cutting 15 inches of grass. So we dropped that to 8, so by the time it gets out there, it's only 12. So we do, enforce that. We are pretty, how would you say, Chris, generated by complaints? We don't
complete-
actively seek to find people or become a hassle to people.
We have 2 ordinance enforcement officers that cover 36 square miles. We're not in every sub every day with rulers. So a lot of the stuff comes out because you guys reach out. Hopefully from this meeting, you get Dave's card, Dave, you call. And we also aren't necessarily in the business, we're not in the business of writing a bunch of fines. We're looking for compliance. We don't like to take people to court. So we try to get voluntary compliance.
And we do a great job at getting violent
Yeah.
compliance. We do not like to fine the community. We do not like to take anybody to court. We try to get it, good and resolved. A lot of times, though, we do have issues where it's a civil matter. If you're talking about a fence with a neighbor and a neighbor, we cannot get involved in that. That's a civil matter between those 2 neighbors. If there's property line disputes, it's not anything we can do. We can point you in the right direction, say, fill out a FOIA request to get your plot plan so you can look to try to find your stakes on the corners of your lot. FOIA is a Freedom of Information request. It's through the clerk's office. We get a lot of requests for I want to see my plans from, when my house was built. So we always refer them to them. It takes a week, they get their plans, and then they can move forward. A plot plan? It depends on what you're going to use it for. Now, I always point people to, if you really want an accurate one, super accurate try to find those stakes, you can FOIA it and get the original stamped and sealed one by a civil engineer. If you're looking for something, just kind of get a gauge on your property, you can go on Property Gateway, which is a great website for Oakland County. It has a picture. You can Windows Shift S, take a screenshot, and you have a copy of that. We even accept that for decks as long as you have the numbers written on, or structures, as long as the numbers are written on. Yeah, I had a fee, right? No, it's not a fee? Okay, good. So yeah, the FOIA is go, Donnie. Okay.
Just ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What was
Donnie will get you the mic. I think this gentleman behind you is next.
Question has come up in our subdivision. It's kind of new. It has to do with solar panel installation. And there's nothing specific in our deed restrictions or bylaws, but we do require that all changes and so on have to go through architectural committee approvals, things like that. And I'm just wondering, the township's opinion, and with all these different HOAs here, how are you looking at approval of solar panel installations?
Building code issues only. If it's on it depends if you have a ground mount system or a roof mount system. A roof mount system, we're just making sure that there's proper attachment. The roof can carry the load, and that's all we look at with the roofs. Ground mount system.
You don't care where, as long as it's,
Yeah, and I know that's something that is coming up with HOAs, whether they want to allow them on, the front of the home, But the problem is we're in Michigan, so if you don't have a south-facing home, or, it's not really conducive to put it on the north side of the home.
So I guess the first question is, does any other HOA here have any policies on that yet?
And that's kind of why we created, that's a great question, that I know not everybody's on Facebook, but probably most people are. The top one, Facebook groups, Orient HOA, you have to be accepted into the group. It is not the place to post pictures of your kids or your Mary Kay that you're trying to sell. It's a place to share ideas like this. That's kind of why we created it. And for a while there, it was somewhat active. It's been pretty dormant, but maybe some of you will see the value in that to share these ideas, because that's something that we as a board have even kind of started to talk about for zoning purposes,
Because I'll just say one thing is, the crowd that's here, I battery packs and they're trying to get as many solar panels on top, they look at it as, hey, that property value increases, it's this,
Yeah.
that, and the other thing. So I just want to say it's kind of a coming thing, and I'm not going to say one way or the other what it should be,
Right.
but it's kind of upcoming with newer.
You know, there might be a day and age where you won't be able to ban that type of renewable energy within a HOA. You know, we have a ground mount, I actually have a ground mount 36, and it's structural. So that would be considered a structure and it'd have to be held to setbacks by planning and zoning.
Plus Dave lives in the sticks, though.
So, you know, so if you do have a ground mount, you know, that would be a structure, but, you know, it is something that I think is more and more prevalent, especially if they get better.
Anything else you wanted to cover, Dave, before we go to any more questions? Oh, sorry. Ross, sorry.
You're looking at me this time, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got you.
It'd be a real easy question, that is, with all the lakes and everything, what's the township's position on boats and trailers being stored in the driveways all summer long? Where do you stand with that?
You know, with all the lakes, you know, you're allowed to have a boat 20 feet off the road on a paved surface. It's almost like a be careful what you wish for if you call on somebody that has one parked in the front, because if we go out, we're gonna hit the whole street, and we're gonna upset a lot of people. So we try to make sure that it's not a safety issue. It doesn't look poor. It's not like a ragged, dirty, rundown, you know, blighted boat. Or not trailered. We want, you know, a clean, if we go out there and it's a clean looking boat, parked neatly in the driveway, and it's not an issue for line of sight, I don't think we really want to go down that road. We will if somebody really wants to push the issue for our ordinance. But like I said, if we're going down there to bust one guy for 15 off the front road, we're going to hit the whole street, because we're not going to deal with, oh, he's got it and he doesn't and he does. So there is an ordinance, 20 feet. Yeah, typically 20 feet, and it's hard to meet.
What, was anybody around for the Civil War of Keatington a few years ago? Because I was. And that's exactly what happened. People had tape measures out, and some were 18 feet, 6 inches. And like Dave said, we want to make sure the ambulances and fire trucks can get in, the police cars and get down the roads, and they're not part blocking stuff. But we have 2 people that cover 36 square miles for all ordinance, plus they also do other jobs here. So use judgment, sometimes a friendly letter, really a friendly letter from the HOA president saying, you know, you have your boat parked at the edge of the road, it's gotta be 20 feet. That a lot of times corrects the issue. So we would start there, because we had people at at the old podium screaming and yelling that we wrote them a violation. We didn't write any tickets, but we wrote warnings, and it was, and then we dealt with a year of neighbors calling on neighbors for every violation they could find, because it was a civil war. And we don't have the capacity to do that, so hopefully that's where we can partner, and you guys can maybe have the friendly letter from the HOA. Helps us a lot.
Absolutely. I can take questions, I'm good. Anything?
And hopefully this is useful. I know it's getting close to 2 hours. We don't want to keep you all night, but there's a lot of information, so we'll try to keep flowing through this. But yes, go ahead.
Regarding a deck, we have someone whose deck is crumbling, visibly railings, not up to code, you know, and they're falling apart. So is there any leverage from the township to get someone to rope it off and demo it if they can't afford to replace it?
Absolutely. You know, if it's a dangerous structure, we can use the property maintenance code. The thing about that is we need a line of sight. We can't go in somebody's backyard, the backyard of the deck you're complaining about.
If the crumbling is visible from the sidewalk?
Yeah, if we could see it from a public way.
The grass is 12 to 15 inches tall.
Yeah.
You're there for the grass, and you see that.
Exactly. If we could see it from a public way, or one of your residents give us permission to go in the yard, just give us a call or a court enforcer, let them know that, yeah, you can walk on our property to look. This deck is a danger and it's blighted and it's an eyesore, so yeah.
Go on your website and pull out a form for ordinance violations on your website.
Yeah, you can, like I said, you can use the, ask the building official or give us a call.
We do not go there saying your neighbor Heather said, like we do keep, now some of them call us and accuse, hey, Heather must have been the one that called. We don't disclose that, but some of them swear they know, but we want to protect you guys as well.
And that sounds like a safety issue, you know, so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely can help out with that.
I almost hate to ask this, but is there anything in the ordinances about people parking cars on front lawns?
You know, there's nothing. We've actually had discussions about it. You can park your car on, well, we're on recording this. We don't want you to park on your front lawn. But yeah, there's not an issue with it, currently. And now that's something that maybe HOAs individually would want to address. Okay.
Any other questions for Dave?
Do you have an ordinance for how close a school building can be to homes?
School building?
A school building.
Typically it would depend on the zoning district.
So I need to wait for the next item?
Yeah, I would definitely ask
Well-
that P and Z question.
No, I mean,
You know, there's
like a
usually
traditional
setback
school or like a
buffer.
daycare? Yes. Yep. First of all, schools, public schools are in their own world. They don't even have to pull building permits through the township. Yeah, and my understanding is the school district is gonna do heavy landscaping. So to answer that very specific question, it was reviewed, that's in the village. We do their building inspections, they have their own planning commission. Yep, that's the border right there. And, public schools literally march to their own beat per the state law, so there's not, I think the best avenue for you is to go to a couple school board meetings and just say, we used to have a nice buffered separation and now we don't. And there has been other feedback on that, and I heard recently that they were still planning on that, so I would talk to the school board. Yep.
Hey, Dave, just a quick one. Is there any ordinance about a vehicle leaking continuous oil or transmission fluid into the street?
I think we could find something on that. I think we could find something on that, you know, if it's causing an issue. You know, with the property maintenance code's pretty broad language, depending on, you know, a lot of it comes down to safety and blight.
So you just need a license plate or house number?
An address would be fine.
Great, thank you.
Is there an ordinance on when they can start working in the township? Or I guess what, I don't know if it would be the village, because they start at 7 o'clock in the morning or earlier working on the school.
We are 7 to 10 PM, yeah, and typically they'll work on Sundays.
All right, anything else for Dave? We are all available after this meeting. I mean, maybe not specifically tonight, but if you have other questions come up tomorrow, as Dave mentioned, all the boards cards are on that wall. We are reachable, so you don't have to wait till the next homeowners forum if you have questions. We're here every day. We're happy to help. I'll be very brief on this. I don't even know what the slide is because Tammy, as our planning and zoning director, and she was unable to attend tonight. There you go. If you go to our website, departments, planning and zoning, current developments, what's going there? That's a section in our magazine. It says what's going there, I think. It's called something like that. And that tells you what's going on. We really do, until a site plan is submitted to the planning commission, to the township to go to the planning commission, they're not public documents. As soon as they are, you can see anything and everything you want to see. So that development that I referenced on Baldwin, we've met with them a dozen times over the last 2 years, but until they formally submit something, we can't share it with you. But the second we want to be very transparent. The second we're able to, we want to. So some things that are happening on 24, you'll see the site next to Palazzo de Bocce, that's an expansion of KPMF. They make the little decals and stickers and for all the cars, 4x4 and all that good stuff. They're expanding here, and this is really good jobs. The Bald Mountain Road's closed. I'm sure you guys over in Oakland Ridge know that. That's because in the process of building a new power station, they're building a new power substation next to Ajax there. They determined that, remember that little fire we had a couple years ago, down by where Menards is now? That you could see from, I think, the space station. They have found that it's not, no one's in danger, but they closed the road because in the process of starting this power substation reconstruction, they want to make sure that that same high-pressure gas main that runs under the road there has not been compromised for the same reason that it was compromised on Brown Road, which is a wetland area. It made the pipe sag, and after a while it broke, and we had an issue. Luckily, nobody was hurt. And then we have all kinds of retail shops and things coming, and that's the planning update. Planning Commission, Kim is our planning commissioner and also our board member, so if you have specific questions about projects. But, the one thing I do like to tell people is a lot of times when we see you is when something's being built near your communities and you're not happy with it. And I get that, because that's how I told you originally, that's how I got involved. Personal property rights are still a thing here in our township and in our country. And so we still will have some development. The good news is, the reason that people choose Orient is because we have 30+% of our land mass are lakes, which I don't think those are gonna change anytime soon, and parks. In the township, in the 10 years I've been here, we've added a couple hundred of acres of parks plus. We're not selling parks. Some communities are actually selling property developers to be developed. We're doing the opposite. We bought Camp Agawam. We got these 76 acres here that the state was looking at selling. We built some pocket parks. So that's the good news, but you will see some more development. We will never be Sterling Heights. We're not gonna be Warren. We're not gonna be Macomb Township. We have lots of natural amenities we will protect, but you will still see a few new neighborhoods here and there and some more developments. And you can come to this podium and yell at the board and tell them, we don't want any more of these things. And you'll probably hear us say, if it's zoned properly, they're gonna get it, so. All right, any questions on planning and stuff? We'll keep moving to the treasurer. Donnie. Oh, one last thing, well, she's coming up. We checked, we put a high effort on all the stuff Aaron's gonna tell you about. Real data, our property values are trending. When I moved to Orient, no disrespect to everyone that's been born and raised here, I moved here because I couldn't afford to buy a house in Rochester, because that's where I wanted to live, because that's where I wanted my kids to go to school. But Orient was a good second choice, because we had great schools and it was more affordable. This is in 1997. Now, over the last 5 years, our property values have trended at 10 to 12% higher than all our surrounding communities. I think it has a lot to do with a lot of things you've heard, our safety, all the parks and amenities. So now people, if you look at the real estate, you'll see our real estate surpassing all these communities that a few years ago were kind of more sought after. So now, Donnie's gonna tell you how we're gonna pay for it all. I don't know what she's gonna say.
Bad news, oh no. Tax bills are coming in. So, I'm Donnie Steele, I'm the treasurer, and I am too a full-time elected official. And I, like Chris, got involved because I wanted safety pass from my subdivision. I live in St. Andrews, and from St. Andrews to Paint Creek Elementary, I wanted the kids to be able to ride their bikes to school. So I said, I'm gonna get involved, so here I am. So I live in St. Andrews, and part of being a public official, you need to live in the township, because then you have a vested interest on what is voted on to make sure that you are happy with it within your own community as well, too. So with that, I wanted to say, I was on the safety path with Heather, is what I wanted to say, because Heather was on that path committee, and Jerry for a very long time, and Jerry still is, so I appreciate the involvement. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, because I know it's a long evening, but I think it's really useful. I wanted to say, we just finished a SAD, and, well, it's not a SAD, we have a private road in St. Andrews, and we couldn't do a SAD because it is a private road, so we had to self-fund it, and we are able to self-fund it through our HOA. And so with our dues, we're able to pay back the money that we borrowed to be able to fix that road. So it's literally being finished this week, and it's beautiful. So it was well worth the investment, because I think, like what Chris says, the values rise of the improvements, and I believe our subdivision's values will improve just because of the road being fixed. So with that, I wanted to go and just show you real quickly a sample bill. The bills will be coming out next week. You'll get it, if you have your taxes paid with your escrows, you'll still get a copy of a bill, so you can look at it and see where your money is going to. And if you see this taxable value at the top, it's a multiplying calculation. So you take your taxable value by the percentages for each one of those: school debt, the operating, Oakland Community College, OCC, in Oakland County, and you multiply the two and you divide it by 1,000, and that's where you get that figure. So I just show that because I think a lot of people don't pay attention when you vote on these millages, what it costs. And with the Headley Amendment, based on the overall value of the whole entire community, those millages actually roll down, and that's why there are these odd numbers. So, like, for instance, the sinking fund, that used to be 2 mills, and now it's 1.88620. And the more values that we have in the township, those numbers roll down, and that way we don't spend like crazy people, and we are able to maintain the services at a reasonable value, or a reasonable level. So that, and then the proposal A, so when you buy, your value only goes up on the rate of inflation unless you sell the house, and then it uncaps, and then you get charged the higher value. So you have the taxable value, which that gets locked in with proposal A, and then you have the assessed value, and so when you sell, it goes to the assessed value. It's confusing, but I try to just kind of break it down on the website, on the treasurer's website. You can see where your dollars go to and their percentage. So the numbers on this pie chart are their percentage of your total tax bill. So you can see the winter portion of the bill is our police, safety path, library operating, North Oakland transportation, the parks, and the operating for Orient Township. You can see at the very tippy top is one of the smallest pieces of the pie. And that's what we charge to run the township, to run and pay, those guys have their separate millage, but to run the whole township is the operating millage. And you can see the voted millages of the police and the fire, which is really in line of what usually is spent in your property values, is public safety. So we're in line, actually probably lower than other communities, like Chris said, with the frugal index. So that's on our website, and this is just broken down that way as well too. And if you guys don't know, we do sell park passes at the treasurer's office and dog tags, and if you do your permits, you pay for them at the treasurer's office as well. So, any questions? Yeah, the boring part of this presentation.
Thank you, Donnie, and we're down to our last presenter, Parks and Rec. Save the best for last. Aaron Watley.
So now I know why they put me last, because they're talking about taxes and boats in the yard, permits, tickets. So I'll give you some fun stuff, hopefully. So we'll go through a few small projects here. This one's out at Civic Center Park, and it'll be kind of near the existing playground out there. It'll be an adult fitness course, almost like a ninja course. So while your kids are out playing, you can go run a quick minute on the circuit over here. We have a lot, and I know you want to get out of here, so I'll go quick. But we have some supply issues with our fencing, but like everybody else, but we're optimistic it'll be done 4 to 6 weeks, restoration and everything, so, yep. And this is going, new tennis and pickleball courts will be going at Friendship Park, the north end. So construction's already started. We just actually paved the approach off of Baldwin Road, so you won't have to go through the bumpy rivets anymore. We'll have parking out there. It'll be 2 pickleball and 1 tennis. Future expansion would be an additional 2 pickleball and 1 tennis out there. So there is bathrooms out there existing. We're not exactly sure how the structure is gonna work. We'll see how the demand is, but it will be somewhere in the line of where there'll be open play. You can just pop out, use the court at your leisure, reservation times, and then league play as well. So, be a variety of things. 2023, we're gonna be looking, right now we're doing the engineering and some cost analysis on renovating Peterson Lodge and doing a beach expansion out at Camp Agawam. So, has anybody been to Camp Agawam? Oh, quite a few of you. How about the beach? Yeah, okay.
It's one of the best
keep it
kept
quiet,
secrets. Yeah, I mean, and you own it. It's your township park, and it's free, and it's incredible. And we don't have to close it very often for E. coli like some other local beaches.
So we try to keep the geese off of that. That's the biggest issue with E. coli. While we're on Camp Agawam, we were approved last year for our campground license through Eagle. Very long, extensive process to be certified. Just make sure that the health department and the state verify that our sites are safe, everything's up to code and compliance. We just applied for a modification and will be, the board actually approved, but it was initiative through our Parks and Path Committee, citizens like you that volunteer, and they recommended on putting a biking campsite at Camp Agawam. Since we're right on the Iron Belt Trail, now bikers from, biking up through Detroit can take a stroll up here, 43 miles, and they're guaranteed they will have a place to stay overnight and then to go on. So, nice little addition out there. We were just approved that a few weeks ago. Wildwood Amphitheater, we have a partnership with Orient Events. So they will be having concerts out there pretty much every single week through the end of the summer, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We also offer our free concert series on Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock. You can head out there about an hour and a half, free music, enjoy the hill. So, yeah, you can see the lineup. It's pretty substantial. Yep, how can I help you? Yes, they are horrible. With that being said, we always do spray. Our contractor is kind of flaky this year, but it's really surrounding some wetlands, so I highly recommend having your 100% DEET out there. No, I'm just kidding. So, maybe not that. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand, ask questions as we go. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. So, yes, I will talk about that. Yeah. Yes, sir. No, we'll go there. Most of the campsites, so 9 out of 10 of the campsites are primitive, meaning you have a picnic table, a fire ring, and that's it. We do have one campsite that does have electric and a water hookup. With that being said, we do not allow RVs. There's a whole new permitting. We need to have a waste station, a ton of different stuff, but we do allow pop-ups out there at all the campsites. Did that answer your question, or? Okay. Sorry, I know you need to have the mic.
No, you don't.
Okay, a few other things. Let's see. I'm gonna open that one picture, Aaron. You wanna see that thing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Appreciate it. Chance, okay. So really with the passage of the Parks and Rec millage, we're very appreciative of that. Chris will show up here, but we've really stayed true to our Parks and Rec master plan. Every 5 years, we ask the community, we do an evaluation of the whole community, recreation, green space, and see what the community needs for the next 5 years. And that includes capital outlay projects. It makes our job very, very easy if the funding is there, because we just go through and we just keep checking it off. We've done really, really well with the millage dollars and also supplemented with ARPA dollars, so federal dollars over the past 2 years. And the township board has been very, gracious to support a lot of the projects and really push that funding back to community. So, I won't go through the whole thing, but, you can just, take a look at it here. It just kind of goes through some, brief things that we take care of. We have our developed parks. With that being said, we're not just parks and recreation. We're parks, recreation, safety paths, trails, facilities, and now, unfortunately, Baldwin Road corridor. We are working through that issue. We'll get it under control here. So this is just a snapshot of the 2022. We kind of produce these every single year. But towards the end of our millage campaign, we'll show you a one-page document of what the community said they wanted, and then what has been completed. And we are probably about 85% complete each year since funding has allowed. So, we have ball field lights going out at Friendship Park right now. Those are almost done. Additional ball field dugouts, EV charging stations, mountain biking adventure trail. We're kind of repurposing, reutilizing the back portion of Friendship Park right now, or this fall. And so there will be some nice trails back there, and there will be some nice mountain biking trails. So multi-use trails would be nice. I don't know, there's a lot.
This is on our website.
Does anybody have any questions? I have not heard otherwise, so, I know they have.
Yeah, and no, it's not, we're not gonna lose it. They really wanna focus their resources where the people are. So they, if you remember in 2020, there was something you voted on, whether you remember or not, changed the formula to how the state was buying a lot of property places where people don't live. So instead of buying another 100,000 acres in the UP that some of us might never set foot on, there was a big push to change the formula so they could maintain the stuff they have where people live, and that was successful. And, if you go through Ball Mountain, you'll see they were doing things like this Water Warrior Island Partnership. All these different state parks are doing these different things just to try to find revenue for survival. Because if you look at the pavilions, the roofs should have been replaced 10 years ago. So the good news is hopefully we're seeing a shift, and we'll see, and that makes a lot of sense to have the resources and parks where closer to the people. So I think you'll see more investment into Ball Mountain, not the opposite. So, yeah, not just Ball Mountain, but with the local parks.
One thing also we're looking at too, switch kind of hats and go to the safety path. We're working on some repairs and boardwalk replacements. But one of the projects we're looking at, probably not this year, but next year, so we'll reach out to the HOA. We're gonna be bringing programs, hopefully, to your community or to your area. So what we'd really like to offer is, say Keatington has we'll break it up into a few areas, but we want to bring a biking safety program right to you. Kind of utilize a cul-de-sac over there, teach kids how to bike safely. They don't need to, just, we'll bring it local right to you. So if the community's interested in that, then we'll have a program on that next year. And
All right. So that brings us to kind of general, is there, kind of buying 11 and 12 together. If there's any questions that you didn't get to ask or you want to ask of anyone, or ideas or things that are pressing in your community that you'd like us to do some work on or maybe bring back to another meeting. So now, anybody have any questions or any comments or any thoughts on future meetings? Anybody?
Where we live. We're at Keatington, Cedars
where you
1,
live.
2, and you know that. But is there, bringing the parks and everything toward, but is there any type of, since we don't have sidewalks and we have a lot of vehicles, safety path for walking, is there anything, the road commission is nowhere. Is there anything that you have suggest that we can do?
Yeah, so you all pay a $0.25 which is rolled down to like 0.23 now, right? Which is, again, doing the simple math, if your house is worth $200,000, it's $23 a year. If it's worth $400,000, you're paying $46 a year. We're trying to build out that safety path network, and on our website, you can see the planned projects, but we're not really touching neighborhoods still. We're really building up. So the only real option is, if there's interest in the community, and this might be a community survey question we ask, to raise that safety path millage so we could generate more monies. But the only real option is to do an SAD. Because the challenge is gonna be, even if you raise the millage to $1 for safety path, and now what's $1 generate? 800,000?
1 mil is about 1.8.
Oh, no, it's like $1 million. Okay, so 1 mil is about $1 million. How much, I wish I had an engineer here. Do you know in the safety path meetings how much a mile of safety path costs? It's crazy by the time you get easements. So it's probably not $1 million. It's maybe just under, because let's say it's $500,000. And we're low estimating. So you could do 2 miles of path a year if we raise the millage to 1 mil, which is 4 times what it is now. Where do you put those 2 miles? So how do we try to do Cedar Key? Maybe that would be higher than some other subs because it is a cut through, but it's just a challenge. It really is. When you start breaking down the numbers like that, that's why everybody talks about the Independence Road millage, but there's people in Independence that are ticked. They're spending $3,000 over 5 years, and they're not getting a road within 5 miles of their house. Yeah.
One side of the road?
That's the road commission to talk to, because it's their road. We have to talk to them about no parking and things. It really is the most challenging issue, because we get all the complaints and we have no control. Because all the things you're talking about are all road right-of-way stuff. We gotta need,
We did get the safety path through Roundtree, but it was through Safe Routes to School, and we got a grant for that, and we were able to go through a subdivision to be able to connect the school system. And I thought we put Cedar Key as on the wish list.
Well, you had to get to school, you had to get to a school.
No, I'm just saying in the future, if that was because that was a cut through, but it was, we're still working on, we just finished M24 getting a safety path, and Indianwood has been my, because they've been asking for a safety path on Indianwood for 20 years. I hear what you're saying.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I just don't know where we
it's
pull the
terrible,
money.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, in Oakland Ridge, we studied it like for a year in my old sub, and there's 53 lots. There's not, but we looked at trying to put a sidewalk, and then it's like, you gotta go through people's yards. And then what side you put it on, you run into the one neighbor that says over my dead body, and it's just a real, I agree with you. If you could do it the right, the way these new communities are being built out west, they build them all like with sidewalks from the beginning, but we have the challenge. The benefit is we have 42 lakes. The downside is we have 42 lakes. There's no straight lines here. In every path that we're trying to build, we have boardwalks that are millions of dollars. I mean, if you haven't been on the path down Clarkson Road that goes over the Paint Creek, it's remarkable. We got a grant. We got $3 million in grants for it. But it's hard to get grants for subdivisions. It's easy to get, like we connected 2 regional trails, Paint Creek and Pollyant, so we got money. Russ?
Chris, I've been coming to these meetings, I think just about every one you've had, and you'll be commended for it. But this is the same conversation that comes up. So in future meetings, can we ask to have some county representation?
Yeah.
Hold some people responsible for some of these things?
Happy to have them here. They're not gonna lie to you, but they're gonna tell you they don't have the money to do it. And then, yeah, of course. Well, so, the discretion, the people that might have some discretion are the County Board of Commissioners. I mean, they might be able to, we've been trying to get them to weigh in and help with some of these, but it's not the Road Commission. The Road Commission is subject to Act 51, the gas tax and vehicle registration fees, and it's a formula. They know how much money they're getting within a couple $100,000 for the next 10 years. Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. Thank you. Yeah.
Chris, is there anybody here at the township that can help us kind of champion these efforts at the commission? We were told we wanted to get a stop sign at the intersection there of Browning and Eaton Gate. You know where we're talking?
Yeah, I do.
There.
Yeah.
And they won't allow us to even get a stop sign there. I guess the point is there hasn't been enough accidents at that corner yet. So until somebody gets, some little kid gets run over and something happens, is there anybody here that, short of attending a meeting, anybody that we can work with, those kind of things?
My office, my team, I mean, all the people you heard, and we ask the same thing, and nobody's here from Heather Lakes, are they? We've been trying to help them with stop signs and maybe speed bumps for 5 years. I've written letters, begged, it's just. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's the road commission and the county commission. Yeah, there's nobody here. We're not fighting against any of these things. We actually are trying to help. Yeah, so. No, I agree. I mean, Mike Gingel's our county commissioner. He's my neighbor too, but he's been our county commissioner, and he's, I think we should invite him to the next meeting like this so he can hear what we're working on. I don't think, I'm not saying that he's working, don't blow him up his emails saying, I can't believe you're not helping us with these issues. There's, but he should hear this stuff, and it's recorded. Well, I'll encourage him to watch it. Hope we didn't say anything too bad. Think about that. Love you, Mike. All right, what else? Any other comments, questions, or things that we should make sure we cover next time? Yeah.
I think maybe all the sections, maybe condense a little bit so we have some time at the end for the HOA.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? This is the first meeting in a little over 2 years, and I had a hunch it was going to be. I told the team, I'm like, let's try to get all our stuff done in an hour. There's just so much to cover, but I agree with you. We could have it more like a workshop where we, and that, by the way, the room next door, it's part of this building. When you walk out, we'll open the door. You can use that for your homeowners meetings if you want. It's your room. It's our community room. So, I can't go to every single HOA meeting, but I've been to most of yours. If you invite me and I have enough notice, I try to come and at least answer questions, because I know some of your residents don't believe you. and sometimes they need to hear, they probably really don't believe me, but we're happy to try to come, and there's some of yours I come to every year. What else? Anything? I would love to see that top page become more of what, I can't remember your name, I'm sorry. Gary. What Gary is referencing is really kind of why we started that, is a place to ask questions. Like, what do you guys, is anybody doing deed restrictions on boat storage and then see who responds, some of the stuff you're talking about, that was really kind of what that's designed for. That's not a page to invite every person that lives in your neighborhood to. That's really for people that serve on your HOA boards across the community to share information. Is anybody here, and I'm gonna read these quickly. If you're from one of these subs, you need to see me afterwards because we show you as inactive or we don't know who you are. Bald Mountain Estates, Baldwin Woods Condos, Baldwin Woods Subdivision, Barrington Cove Condos, Forest Hills, Glens of Indianwood, High Point Ridge Condos, Lonesome Lake, Marina Park, I think that means Marina Point, Morgan Pines, Orient Oaks, Pink Creek Ridge 2, I think somebody's here from there, Silverville Village, Silver Valley, Stratford Condos, Summerfield Condos, and Walden Park. If you're from any of those subs, please come see me after. And if you're not, then we probably know you. Raise your hand if you got an email about this meeting. Oh, well, do it different, it's easier. Raise your hand if you didn't get the email about this meeting. Okay, make sure we have your email on that list. And write down, I think it says on there, your subdivision too. And then what we do through my office is, in the sense it's been so long, Julie in my office has tried to email people, and some people said, I don't live there anymore. Then we said, well, do you know someone who does? And we've even looked at this map, and I'm like, oh, I have friends that live in the sub, and so we've kind of done some of that guerrilla marketing. But the best way for this to work is if we're connected. And I totally agree. Next time we'll try to keep it like to 1 hour max, and then have like an hour or half hour afterwards for people to kind of have some interaction. That's a really good idea. Sorry? Oh, yeah, I mean, it's obviously, our clerk is not here tonight, but some of the precincts change. It's an election year. We expect more than half of our residents are gonna vote by absentee ballot, which those are gonna get mailed out like tomorrow. They're gonna get mailed out whenever you got it. Check your precinct locations. Some people, this is not okay, I'll finish the meeting first. Is there anything else? Yes. Okay, no, I think what I was referencing, yeah. The question was, for those of you watching this later, there was some, I said something about complaints about lakes. What I was referencing was Monday night, the Township Board had a presentation from the Orient Lake Association about their weed treatment plan, which is a special assessment district. And I think I was just trying to say, we try to please everyone, but we don't. And there were people that complained. And I do mean this, and some of you I haven't seen since the last one of these. It's great to see you, and some of you I see all the time. But, every single one of these people, I ask them to be here, but they care about their jobs, right? So they care. Our mission here is to provide the best service in local government, and we want to do that. Like, we pound that into our staff's heads. And they came up with that. It wasn't just my idea. We went through this journey together a couple years ago. But we don't want to be like your experience at Secretary of State or your experience with the Road Commission or the County Commission. We want you to feel like we're responsive, and every single one of these people that talked tonight, and even the people that couldn't be here for conflicts, are here to serve you. So start with them if they have an issue, if they're your key point for your issue, but if they don't respond, I'm here all the time, and we'll make sure you get the responses you need. But we really do want you to feel like you're cared about, and especially, we love everyone, but you guys are the ones that step up and give extra. You literally gave 2.5 hours on one of the nicest nights of the summer so you could go share information with all your neighbors. So we appreciate you even more. So if you want to be appreciated, come to the next meeting. Really, hey, thank you so much. Again, it's 9:30. We'll stop for now, and we'll hang out if you have any questions. Take a look at this map. I'm going to roll out on that table. When you walk out, just make sure your sub is on there.